Hi, I'm Jed Herne, and this is Daily Writing Advice. There's one question in particular that I like to ask myself as a writer when I'm trying to improve stakes and make my story have more conflict in it. That question is this: how can things get worse? How can things get worse? Why is this useful? Well, it forces you to constantly evaluate the situation you're in. Perhaps you've already planned out a couple of areas where there'll be conflict in your story. So your main character is sneaking into a top secret military facility, and you've already planned that they'll have to fight a guard and crawl through a laser maze and have to answer a random phone call from their mum halfway through it, whatever. Maybe you've already planned out some of those things. It's worthwhile thinking what else could go wrong, and it might even be useful to ask other people in your life. So give them the scenario, give them all the details, and then say, hey, if things were to go really badly, what do you think would go wrong here? What are some things you could think about that I maybe haven't thought of myself? And this is really useful because it might actually lead to better events than what you originally planned. Because if you're just thinking about the kind of puzzle pieces that you have on the board, and then you're thinking about all the ways that they could potentially go together in an incorrect fashion, it might be more organic. It might be more organic than just saying, I want these things to go wrong. And I think a fantastic example of this is the 6th Mission Impossible movie, Mission Impossible Fallout, where there are just so many times where the stakes just keep getting higher and higher and complications just keep coming and coming. So the main character runs onto a helicopter that's taking off and grabs onto the main landing pads for it or whatever, but then slips and falls onto the rope. And then they're climbing up the rope and they try to grab onto the helicopter chassis, and then they fall all the way down the rope, and now they're further away than they were before, and now they're hanging underneath it. And then eventually they get into the helicopter, and then the helicopter starts plummeting because they had to kick out the pilot. And you can just see how it's natural progression of how can things get worse and worse and worse, and it keeps going until hopefully you reach a satisfying conclusion. So when you're writing, think about each scene in your novel and think about ways that it could go even worse. And if you're anything like me, you're probably a pretty sadistic person as a writer, because you enjoy inflicting pain on all these imaginary characters. So take this opportunity, relish the chance to just throw as many spanners into the works as possible. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a comment and I will be sure to read it and hopefully respond. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.